Lions and lionesses. In order to achieve anything or create anything in life, you really only need two things: an effective, sustainable plan and the mindset to carry through. When I say mindset, it's the identity. Are you the type of person that will do what needs to be done, even regardless of how you feel or what life throws your way, in order to get the result? That is what's required. William James, who was the father of psychology, of modern psychology, he lived from 1842 to 1910. He said something, and I quote, "There is a law in psychology that if you form a picture in your mind of what you would like to be, and you keep and hold that picture there long enough, you will soon become exactly as you have been thinking." If you form a picture in your mind, in your imagination, of what you would like to be, the type of person you'd like to be, and you hold it there long enough, you emotionalize it, you will soon become exactly as you have been thinking. Anyone that's ever played sports or anyone that's really achieved anything has done this, either consciously or unconsciously. Keep that in mind. Now, some people would say this is woo-woo, but that's not true. As I said before, people that are successful, I'm fortunate to be a coach and a trainer, so I get to work, and I've always been surrounded by really successful people. And I've also been surrounded by the people they would refer me to, who they care about, that aren't like them. And it's not genetic, it's a way of viewing the world. They have a different software of the mind. And so software is belief and identity. So beliefs are the rules that are imprinted in your subconscious. So if this happens, then this, it means this, and then I do this. So if I train, then I will feel better. And when I feel better, I will make better decisions. Or other people say, if I train, I'll be sore. And if I'm sore, I won't want to do other things. Those are two different worlds. In order to create the life we really want and to be able to really serve at the highest level, we must take command of our beliefs. Now, if you take all your beliefs together, that is your identity. That is your blueprint of who you are, what life is about, and what's the purpose of all these other people and things in life. That's identity. That's the blueprint. We must take command of that. So many people get caught up in just doing things. What do I need to do? What's the best way to do it? And that's a good question. That's only half of the equation. You need an effective plan, but you must have the identity and the beliefs, the mindset to carry it through, because people really are inconsistent. That's what it is. Or they're stubborn in their ways and they're closed-minded. They think they know things. They listen to one podcast and so they jump over there and they change the whole plan. You can't mix and match plans. And when we do mix and match plans, it's because we don't have clarity. We haven't taken command of our beliefs and our identity. That needs to be the top priority in life. If you do that, everything else goes as you wish, because humans are programmable. What do I mean by that? Well, we have 5 senses, right? And those 5 senses are constantly bringing in data. And then the brain, the nervous system, is making rules or beliefs to take all that information and put it into simple rules so that we don't become overwhelmed. And by doing that, we unconsciously create our behavior, but we're not going to unconsciously do that. But before we go any deeper, I want you just first to understand that you are in the driver's seat. Everything that happens in your life is your responsibility. I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm saying that from this point forward, that you know this, it is up to you. It is your responsibility to take charge of these rules, these beliefs, and your identity. But first, you got to get clarity on it. But let me go back to that William James quote, and let me talk to you about a couple studies. These are very fascinating studies. Ellen Langer she works now at Harvard. She started at Yale. She's been doing mind-body research for decades, since the 1970s. One study that really blew my mind was what they call them chambermaids, but what they are people that clean at hotels. And what they did here was they took half the group. They all worked at the same place. They did the same jobs. And they took half of them and just let them keep doing their jobs. But they took measurements. They looked at their body weight. They looked at their blood pressure, their body fat, their waist-hip ratio, and their body mass index. So they took a bunch of data. Then the other group, they came in with a person with a jacket on, a person of authority, saying like, hey, we analyzed your job. And in your daily tasks that you do every day and have been doing from a long time, you fulfill the United States Surgeon General's guidelines for adequate exercise. You were very active. You were doing great. And by doing that, that will improve your health. And these are the things that will change. You will lose weight. You'll do these things. And then they just had them keep going back, doing their job. And then they came back and they measured the two groups again. The one group that had no intervention had no change, obviously. Now, mind you, they're all doing the same thing. The only difference was their perception or belief that they were doing enough exercise. That's the only thing that changed. The other group that now believed that their job provided enough exercise had 1, a decrease in body weight. They lost weight. 2, they improved their blood pressure. 3, they lost body fat. 4, they improved their waist to hip ratio, which is a really important indicator of health, and their body mass index. But they changed nothing. Think about that. That is incredible. So how can, this is the thing that always blew my mind. I would train people and they'd be all doing the same stuff basically, base concepts anyway, maybe slightly different amounts, different exercises, but really it was the same thing. And some people in the group would lose 40 pounds in 12 weeks. And some people would gain a couple pounds. Now, obviously, they probably ate differently and stuff. They had to eat differently. But the people that always do well expect it to work, and they enjoy it. They train and they eat to feel good, not to get to a certain outcome. That's a very important pattern to understand. So this first study was, they just changed their belief. That is the only thing. Now, another study was very interesting. This study is called Mind Over Matter, Mental Training Increases Physical Strength. And so in this study, they had groups of people. They had 3 groups. The first group did nothing. And so they just had a baseline. The second group did an exercise. They did 3 sets of 8 on a certain exercise. They did it 3 times a week, and they trained, right? The third group did not exercise physically. They only visualized them doing the 3 sets of 8 3 times a week. They did nothing else. So the group that didn't do anything, obviously there's no increase in strength during the study. The second group that actually did the exercise had a 28% increase in strength. The third group that didn't exercise but visualized, imagined it in the theater of their mind that they were doing the training, had a 24% increase in strength. So the people that actually did the exercise, 28% increase. The one that just visualized, imagined it, had a 24% increase. Now imagine if you combine those two together. That's what we do here. That is the purpose of it. If you're doing the mental condition exercises, that is what we are doing. But look at this study. And there's tons of these studies. I could go through them. I love these things. So I'm always getting these sent to me and I'm always looking at them. And I know a lot of researchers that run these things. But we got to take this in mind. The thing that's missing in almost everything is the mind. Everything that has ever been created was first created in the theater of the mind. Why don't some people follow through? Well, it's really their beliefs. But when you have a clear and compelling vision of the future, what happens? Are you inspired to take action? Yeah, but we don't take action because we make other things more important. When you make something the most important thing, like what is health to you? What is energy to you? What is vitality to you? Or are you caught up in your job? Like, I have to do these things because this is where I got my needs fulfilled. We must be a master of our behavior. And what precedes behavior? Our thoughts and beliefs, which then create our emotions, the way we feel, and the way we feel will make certain decisions, whether we take action or we not. That is it. That is the trilogy. Everyone's purpose in life is to master that. When you master that, you create life on your terms. Now, I could go on, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a process very soon. Some of you have done it before. Some of you never heard it before, but it's called the North Star process. This is something I've developed by observing clients and working with people, being surrounded by super successful people and people that are struggling. And this is really the questions that they ask again and again and again, and they keep clarifying. But you don't do this exercise once. You do it repetitively, daily, again and again and again, because it's like writing a movie script or writing a novel or book. The first draft is not as good as the 30th draft. And then eventually it just becomes a habit of thinking, a framework that you just run through all the time. And I'm telling you this, man, I want to put so much emphasis on this because this is what's missing from people's programs. When people, there are a lot of programs that work. A lot of them you do too much, but really the difference maker is this piece. I call it the North Star process. Now, before we had GPS or even maps, we had the North Star, also called Polaris, because the North Star, if you don't know, it doesn't move. It's always due north because of its location. And so when lost at sea or in the wilderness or trying to find a destination, you always knew where north was. And so when the sun comes up, it comes in the east, it sets in the west. But the North Star at night, there is no sun, so people would get lost. And so the North Star helped those that give them certainty that they were on the path. So this is just a pre-frame. When you listen to this, keep this in mind. Meditate upon this, because where you place your focus and attention grows, it expands. When we feel bad, we're focused on things and meanings of things that don't serve us, that put us into a fear-based state. Fear-based state, by definition, are destructive. We make bad decisions from that place. That's where all regret is born. Fear is the murder of dreams and goals. We cannot live there, or we will not be successful. We will not be fulfilled. We will not serve at the highest level. We must master our state. But we need beliefs and identity that makes it easy to live in love-based emotion. All love-based emotion, whether it's determination or passion or joy or courage, whatever it is, it's a positive emotion. By definition, it expands, it grows, you feed it, and it allows you, it gives you power, and power is the ability to act. So those are the things. Listen to this again and again, my friend, because this is what's missing. When I learned this, it takes a while though, it's repetition, but when I learned it, everything changed. I would struggle, I'd push hard, I'd burn out, and then I'd fail, then I'd make some adjustments, have some little victories, but it was this process of stepping forward and stepping back, stepping forward, stepping back. I had really good intentions, so I really want to help people. But it wasn't until I really stepped back and took the time to do these things and learn to think like a master. When I say a master, I'm thinking about someone who is living in love-based emotion, who loves who they are, they love how the world is, and that they're making a difference. They see what's not right or what can improve, and they can make a difference in it, whether directly or indirectly. But I think that's, if you're here, you're that type of person on some level. I know that about you. When I talk about lions and lambs, lions, how do you know if you're connected to the lion? That's who you really are. Are you in love-based emotional states? When we're in fear-based emotions, if you're angry, sad, depressed, apathetic, like you don't give a shit about anything, you can't help. That is the lamb. A lamb is a fear-driven creature. It has to be. It has no way to protect itself. So it has to live in a flock with other sheep. That's a full-grown lamb, by the way. And when a predator comes like a wolf, they jump to the center so they don't get taken. They have to be selfish by nature. When we're in the survival mind, when we're in fear, we're just like a lamb. And we can be controlled and programmed unless we take command of our minds and our emotions, and then as a result, our actions. So many of us are doing it backwards because we're taught that way. But now is the time to make the ultimate decision that I will master myself. And I'll have a daily discipline of training where I connect to this part of me, this love-based emotional state, the lion. So when we train, we summon the lion, summon the lioness. That is the single most important action. And when you're in state, will you eat better? Yes, you will. I promise you that, because you are in a place where you'll make decisions. When we're in fear, do we overeat or undereat? Well, both. Some people undereat, and then by necessity, they overeat. And that's how we gain weight. But we have a different physiology. We have different hormonal cascade when we're in fear than when we're in love-based emotion. Again, listen to this again and again. This is the core philosophy that changes everything. Remember, you were born a lion. We learned, we were programmed to be lambs, to be obedient, to follow other people's rules. And sometimes they served us, sometimes they didn't. But if you want to go to the next level, this is where it begins. And this is also where it ends. This is the answer.
tap into the real you. But you have to retrain yourself. The way you retrain yourself is you wake your ass up in the morning and you say, I am here for a reason and a purpose. And it's bigger than my moods. It's bigger than the difficulties of the day. I am here to live like a lion, not the fear of a lamb.